Happy Friday, everybody. It is March 7th, 2025. We're soon to be into spring. And you'll see a big difference on our channel. I'll talk about that later. What I'm here to talk about is an upcoming release from the Whiskey Lab. So this bottle right here is from a brand we brought in December. Try Carragh. Probably saying that wrong. It's Scots Gaelic. I'm American. We can't say anything. But this is a very special release. It's a 27-year Bowmore. It was matured entirely in a second fill or a refill sherry cask. So a 27-year-old Bowmore, that's just not something you see every day. And I have not had this yet, but I was able to get access to a few cases of this. It is up for pre-sale. We'll cover that. So what we're going to do today is we're going to open this bottle. We're going to taste it. I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions and tasting notes. And then we're going to go from there. So let's kick things off. Seems like a standard glass bottle. Try Carragh. They're an independent bottler out of Scotland, of course, is all we do is Scotch. And the three releases that they've brought into the States so far through the Whiskey Lab have been phenomenal. You can see them on the website now. It's a Town of Ullin, a Dalry Maple, and then what I actually reached out to them for to see if I could bring over was the Whiskey Lab's currently only port cask finish, and that is a Glenelgan. So back to the Bowmore, we're popping the bottle for the first time. Ooh, love that sound. Now Bowmore is an Islay. It is peated. And we know that when you peat something, finishing it with a sherry cask or maturing it in a sherry cask can really balance out that peaty, smoky flavor that most American whiskey drinkers think Scotch is. Again, only 10% of Scotch is peated. And so whenever I introduce someone to peated Scotch that hasn't had it before, I try to go with a sherry cask finish or maturation. Helps put that off. But this just smells pleasant. So we're going to switch over to a new view that'll be part of all our reviews. I'm going to be going through every bottle in the Whiskey Lab, providing a video of that. But let's change over our view. So we have a color guide, a tasting guide, and then we have some up close and personal view of the glass as I pour it in there. There we go. Ooh, that is a good looking color. Definitely refill sherry. So you can see the color there. It's kind of amberish, and you know what you have on your color guide. I do tasting events. I have this mat right here. This is what I'm using right in front of me as I pick this up, and I would say this is down into the deep copper 1.0, maybe even a 1.1. So I think this is that 1.0 that you see on the tasting screen right there, the tasting color guide. Let's go into some of the scents and the tasting. You definitely smell a little bit of the peatiness to it. It's very earthy. And it smells like a lightly peated Scotch. And now a younger, like a Lafroig 10-year, that's super intense on the nose. This is very pleasant. It just smells sweet. Definitely I don't get smoky. I just get some peatiness. Now smoky and peaty are a little bit different. A little fruity. I'm not detecting the sherry yet. I think that's going to come out on the tongue. So as I swirl this around some more, drop this back on the guide, get it real close to the camera. There we go. Check it out one more before I take my taste. Okay, here we go. And cheers. Wow. Very coastal. A bit of saline in that. It's not super heavily peated. It's almost like a spicy peat flavor. I'm not getting any sense of smoke on the taste, the initial palate. On the finish, you get a little bit of smokiness. My tongue's tingling right now. A little bit of vanilla, but vanilla, spice. Sherry isn't making a big presence on the palate either, or the finish, but I'd say it definitely took that impact of peat down overall. So as a refill sherry cask, again, you're not going to get a ton of influence from that. But this is extremely well balanced. I don't want to add water, but going through their tasting guide, they say to add a few drops of water to see how it tastes. Now this is at 53.1% alcohol, and at cask strength, with only about 160 bottles that came from the cask and only 18 coming to America, this is really good. Like, I haven't done a review on a peated whiskey. I haven't been opening peated whiskey in a while. And so Well, this is pricey. I wouldn't say this is the first peated Scotch anyone should try given the cost. If you have the opportunity to taste this and you haven't had peated yet, I think you'd be pleasantly surprised. Or even those who are not into peated. This is very, very gentle. That's kind of what Bowmore is known for. When it comes to the Islas and the distilleries on the island, almost everything they do is peated, and a lot of them are heavily peated. This is nicely peated, I'll just say that. Ryan and Ola at Carragh over in Scotland, bravo. This is great. I don't know where it stands on my scale of peated whiskeys, but it's up there, and I'd say my top 5. This is very good. Octomore from Bruichladdich, that's super heavily peated. That is just smacking you in the face with smoke and intense flavors. Higher ABVs, usually in the 60s. I often recommend Balvenie Peat Week as a good introduction to peat for many. I say this is definitely better than all of them. I love Octomore. This is just a special release, being a single cask. So I think we should go to the website and see what the professionals, more professional than me, say about taste, the nose, the impact. Again, on the nose, I'm getting very earthy tones, a little bit of spice, some fainty peat there, and a little bit of floridity. It's a bit floral. On the taste, initial taste, the initial palate, I'm tasting a bit of the ocean. I feel like I'm right by the sea. I'm smelling it. I definitely get a light peat, not much smoke on the taste, but as the finish goes, after you swallow the dram, the smokiness comes out. Not hard, but like a little smokiness, almost like the scent of a super pleasant cigar if you were tasting that, like a sweet cigar. And yeah, so let's go over to the webpage. So when we look at the webpage, this is $550 a bottle. Now, a 25-year brand release Bowmore would be about $1,000. So to get an older single cask sherry maturation, this is a damn good deal, $550. Again, there's only 18 in the States. There's 10 available for pre-sale on the website. 8 have already been spoken for from other people who are very interested in getting it to their store. A couple of professional photos here. They do a very good job at Carragh, getting great photos and product shots. And we'll go back to the main. We can zoom in on this if we want. Again, 53.1%. 144 bottles. I was wrong. One cask, only 144 bottles came out of that. And it was a butt. So a butt's about 600 liters. There wasn't much liquid left in this. Probably, I don't know, 20%, 25% full on that 600 liter sherry butt. All right. We'll go down a little more of the notes. Old Islay's Coastal Spirit. Again, like I said, coastal, but let's just go right into the tasting notes. You can go to thewhiskylab.com and find this and check it all out yourself. So, floral sweetness when you first think lavender or Parma violets, quickly transitioning into sticky barbecue sauce over a charcoal grilled ribs, and a hint of sweet tobacco drifting in the background. That tobacco I didn't pick up initially, kind of makes sense now, but I definitely get that sweet charcoal barbecue sauce scent initially. Maybe that's that peatiness that I'm calling out. Palate, chewy, meaty on arrival. Yes, that's a better way than I described it. Smoked barbecue flavor. I don't eat meat, so maybe I'm not the guy to say there's barbecue flavor there on smoked meat, but it definitely has that smoky peatiness, or peatiness, like sweet peatiness. Not sherry, it's just like sweet, sugary peat. Maybe that's the barbecue sauce they're calling out there. It's spicy, like I said, they're saying red pepper spices. Sherry's emerged late. I didn't get that initially. I am recovering from a flu, maybe that's why. Brighty fruit note, yep, got that. A drop of water, we're gonna do that. I'm gonna go back to the other screen, we're gonna add some water. But that intensifies the smoke. I got the smoke on the finish. Amplifying the sweetness, floral notes appear. I agree with everything they said. Floral notes reappear. Well, no, this is at the added water. Finish, mouthwatering, yes. Enduring, yes. That's a long finish. Floral, barbecue, peatiness, yes. Finishes gracefully with a polished, smoky sweetness behind it. Yeah, I got smoke at the end, so my taste was pretty accurate. There's some things I didn't pick up. Now, I'm going to switch back over to the view, but we'll look at a little bit more info here. 27 years old. It was distilled on May 7th, 1997. It just happens this is going to arrive in the United States around the first week of May. Let's just say it's May 7th when it gets here. Should be shipping the end of May, first week of June. 53.1%, only 18 bottles. I could only get 18 bottles allocated to me. This is such a desired release. All right, we'll go back over to the view. Now, water. When you add water, a lot of people add ice cubes. That's fine for a common drink. If you're doing something so premium, if it's a $500 bottle, spend $1 and get a jar or a jug of distilled water. Now, I took a gallon and I poured it in this little 100 milliliter bottle. I'm going to put a few drops in and just see how it changes the palate, the nose, and the finish. I don't think it'll make much impact on the finish, but as I've said in the past, a single drop on a 20-year plus Scotch at cask strength can make a difference. So here we go. You got it on camera. I'm dropping it in right there. One drop. I'll do it again with a couple more, but let's swirl it around. One drop, color doesn't change. Let's see. Maybe since it's been exposed to air a bit now and it's oxidized a little bit, that has changed the nose. I don't think one drop of water will change the nose or the scent too much. But I'm getting a little bit more fruitiness and probably the mental impact of reading and then trying going through in this, but it definitely smells a bit different. It smells a little bit more pleasant. Whenever you pour a great Scotch out and let it sit in your glass, the interaction with air, the oxidation, that makes an impact. So if you were to buy one of these bottles, I'd be spraying this with nitrogen or a wine saver spray every single time I opened it. I'm gonna do that after we finish this video. But standard releases from big brands, I wouldn't waste the effort on that. High-end single cask offerings, be it from a big brand or indie bottler like Carragh from the Whisky Lab, definitely use your sprays. I'd say it made a slight difference. It is a little bit smoky on the palate now. I think that had to do with some of the air getting to it. But that drop of water definitely made this a little more open. I am getting more of the fruit tones on the palate. I'm getting this a bit sweeter that blends with the peatiness of it, but it's almost the water and the oxygen, what's happened while we were talking. Peatiness increased. Now, I've had a couple sips from this already, but the peatiness is a little more intense and the fruitiness. So it's almost like a drop of water intensified the flavors. I think a few drops will do a little bit more. And everyone I know, every Scotsman I know and Scotswoman, they tend to water down their whiskey. They'll try it neat, and then they'll add water to really open it up. So I've been told the ideal taste for a whiskey is at 35% ABV. Personally, that's not me. I'm drinking everything I can at cask strength or how it comes out of the bottle. But I'm trying to help you guys see how you'd like it. Now, a bit more water on this. Ooh, it is different. It is absolutely different. A little bit of sulfury on this, but more of this medicinal scent, smokiness. Yeah. And it's pleasant. It's weird. When you think of acetone or medicinal, you don't always associate that with being good to smell. But this, it smells a little better to me, or just different. Yeah, it's a little medicinal, but like a sweet medicine on that taste. The smokiness is there. I think it increased with adding water. I like it better at cask strength. I think some people who like heavily peated or very peated whiskey, if you add water, the peat and intensity of that peat and smokiness is going to come out. It seems counterintuitive, but this is very well balanced with water and without. I prefer it without water added. I think it's a smoother overall profile and more complex. Adding water increased the intensity of the smoke and peatiness to me. So Ryan and Ola, again, cheers. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to bring some over to the States to our wonderful Scotch consumers here. This will likely be on the shelves locally at some bars in DC. And this is going to be our premier dram. This is going to be our luxury special tasting whiskey at the Houston Scotch Whisky Society's event on May 17th. So singled this out to bring it over as there's a lot of brands that are going to be there. I didn't see anything peated, and we wanted to do something very special that is luxury for those guys at the Houston Scotch Whisky Society. So cheers, everyone. Happy Friday. Enjoy your drams. And yeah, got any questions, hit me up, jay@thewhiskylab.com. Check out the website. My phone number should be listed if you want to give me a call or send me a text. The chat on the website works. It's all going straight to me. Happy to help you guys out in any way. Happy Friday.